Ryder, a retired former CIA agent, is enjoying a quiet life in New York when his old friend Rex Harlan pulls him into a mission to stop biological weapons from a Russian underground organization. He reluctantly agrees when he learns the threat could cause a global pandemic, leading to war. The team quickly flies to Madrid, Spain, to track down the smuggling intermediary Igor Petrov. Rain patters on the awning of a small cafe in the Lower East Side of New York. Ryder sits alone, holding a cup of strong black espresso, his eyes gazing out at the bustling street through the fogged glass. For the past 3 years, he has tried to forget the sleepless nights chasing shadows, the scars from knives and stray bullets still burning on his skin. But then the cafe door swings open. The bell jingles like a harbinger of trouble. Rex Harlan, an old friend from the CIA, walks in with a tense expression, his leather jacket soaked from the rain. Blaze, I need you, Rex says immediately, pulling a chair and sitting down without waiting for an invitation. His eyes sparkle with urgency, as if he is holding a ticking time bomb. Blaze raises an eyebrow, setting his coffee cup down. I'm retired. Rex, no more missions. His voice is even, but a bad feeling stirs within him. Rex once saved his life in Afghanistan, and now he isn't here just to reminisce. Rex leans in close, lowering his voice. A group of Russian Mafia just stole biological weapons from a lab in England. They killed all the guards, the scientists, and now they plan to sell it to a mysterious buyer. This could turn into a pandemic. Blaze, not a regular virus. It's designed to trigger war, framing the U.S. or China. He pulls out a blurry photo from his pocket, showing a metal suitcase with a dangerous biological symbol. Blaze stares, his fingers tightening around the coffee cup. He has faced all kinds of weapons, but this, it could kill millions without a single shot fired. Why not let the CIA handle it? Blaze asks, trying to keep his voice cool. But Rex shakes his head. We need someone outside the system. No paperwork. No waiting for orders. And you are the best. Blaze, you took down the nuclear case in Iran all by yourself. Blaze sighs. Memories flooding back. Nights hiding in the desert. Dodging bullets from mercenaries. And the pain of losing comrades he had sworn never to return. But this world, with people like the Russian Mafia, does not allow him to rest. Rex slides a file across the table. I've got a team. Nova Quinn, a young hacker who can hack the Pentagon. Drake Voss, a sharpshooter who can hit a fly from half a mile away. And, a surprise, Zane Eclipse, a Hollywood star, to act as bait to approach the target. Blaze frowns at the name Zane. An actor? Are you kidding? Rex scoffs. Not kidding. He has connections with the intermediary in Madrid. We fly out today. Blaze looks out the window. The rain still pouring, as if washing away his fragile peace. He knows that if he refuses, millions of lives could be lost. All right, he says, his voice resolute. But if I die, you handle the funeral. Rex pats him on the shoulder. A victorious smile. That's the Blaze Ryder I know. Let's go. They leave the cafe. Stepping into the bustling crowd of New York, Blaze feels the adrenaline begin to surge, like an old flame reigniting. A plane waits at JFK Airport, ready to take them to Madrid, Spain. On the flight, Rex spreads out a map. The intermediary is Igor Petrov. He will meet at a bar near Plaza Mayor. Nova is hacking the airport cameras to track. Blaze nods, checking the Glock hidden under his jacket. He doesn't like Spain. Too much sunshine hiding the darkness. The plane lands at sunset. Madrid bathed in brilliant red hues. They rent a car and speed straight to a small hotel in the center. Nova Quinn, with her striking purple hair, is typing on her laptop. Igor is bringing a suitcase. Inside there are test tubes. High encryption data. Drake Voss, silently cleaning his gun. Nods, I'll cover. Blaze feels this team is unfamiliar. But time does not wait. Night falls, and they hide near Plaza Mayor. The bar is lit with neon lights. The sound of flamenco music echoing. Blaze wears a baseball cap, observing through sunglasses. Nova. Position on Igor. His voice whispers into the earpiece. Corner table. 2 bodyguards. Blaze signals to Drake. And the two move like shadows. They weave through the crowd. Pretending to be drunk, Igor sits there, clutching the suitcase tightly, his eyes anxious. Suddenly, a loud noise from the door. 2 men in black burst in, guns drawn. Victor Slade, Blaze mutters, recognizing the old traitor from the CIA. Victor, the one who betrayed him in Istanbul, now wants to steal the goods. Blaze jumps up, knocking out a bodyguard, dodging bullets flying past. Drake shoots accurately. Taking one down, Igor runs for the back door. But Nova hacks the streetlights, plunging the area into darkness. Blaze chases through the narrow alley, the night wind whipping against his face. Igor is panting, glancing back to see Blaze closing in. Don't, he screams. But Blaze kicks, knocking the suitcase from his hands. Drake appears, cuffing Igor. Blaze opens the suitcase test tubes, glimmering with deadly liquid. Who hired you? He growls. Igor trembles. Russian Mafia. Boris Kuznetsov. My wife and kids are being held. They retreat. But Victor lunges from the shadows, gun aimed straight at them. Long time no see. Blaze. He grins wickedly. Blaze stands still, knowing the hunt has only just begun. Which area are you listening to this story from? And what time is it where you are right now? Leave a comment below so I know you are still healthy and fully focused on this story. My dear friend, we will continue right after this. From the chase in Madrid, Spain. Blaze Ryder and hacker Nova Quinn, along with sharpshooter Drake Voss, infiltrate the bar to capture intermediary Igor Petrov, leading to a chaotic shootout. They retrieve an encrypted hard drive containing information about the biological weapons. But Victor Slade, the old traitor, pursues fiercely, forcing the team to flee through dark alleys, leading to a fierce confrontation on the night streets. Victor Slade stands there, gun aimed straight at Blaze's chest, a wicked smile flashing under the dim neon lights of the alley. You think you can escape me? Blaze, that suitcase is mine. His voice is raspy, filled with hatred from the days of betrayal in Istanbul. Blaze stands still, gripping the suitcase containing the biological test tubes, his eyes scanning the surroundings. Igor Petrov lies groaning on the ground, blood trickling from his nose. Drake Voss hides behind a trash can, Desert Eagle's barrel ready. Nova Quinn whispers through the earpiece from the Hotel Blaze. The car is at the end of the alley. I'm hacking the streetlights for cover. Without waiting any longer, Blaze lunges to the side, dodging the first deafening gunshot, the bullet slamming into the stone wall, sending debris flying. He rolls, drawing his Glock from his waistband, firing back twice. Victor jumps behind a nearby parked car. Laughing loudly, still fast as ever, Drake springs up, shooting accurately at the tire near Victor, causing it to deflate. Run, Drake shouts, pulling Igor up, throwing him into the darkness. The team dives deeper into the alley, feet splashing on the rain-soaked pavement. Madrid tonight is like a cobblestone maze, with ancient walls providing temporary shelter. Victor chases after them, his arms emerging from the corner, machine gun firing continuously. Blaze ducks behind a lamppost, feeling a bullet graze his shoulder, tearing his jacket. It hurts. But he grits his teeth, turns, and shoots down one of Victor's men, who falls face first into a puddle. Rex. Support, Blaze yells into the earpiece. Rex Harlan. From a van a block away. Floors the gas and speeds towards them. I'm on my way, Nova. Do something. Nova types furiously. Turn off the lights for the whole area. Suddenly, the entire alley plunges into darkness, leaving only the sound of wind and chaotic footsteps. Blaze seizes the opportunity, lunging at Victor, delivering a punch to his jaw. Victor staggers but retaliates with a kick to Blaze's stomach, knocking him into a trash can. The sound of metal clashing rings out, the suitcase nearly falling. Drake pulls Blaze up, providing cover fire as the second henchman closes in. A bullet hits the man's shoulder, and he screams, dropping his gun. Get the suitcase, Victor yells, lunging from the shadows, a glimmering dagger in hand. Blaze dodges the slash, spins, and locks Victor's arm, twisting it back. Bones crack. Victor groans but still manages to stab Blaze in the thigh with the dagger. Hot blood flows out. Sharp pain. But Blaze doesn't let go, pummeling his face until Victor collapses, blood streaming from his nose. Rex's van comes barreling in, headlights blinding. Get in, Rex shouts, opening the door. Blaze tosses the suitcase inside, pulls Igor along, and jumps into the back seat. Drake finishes off the last henchman, and the vehicle speeds away, tires screeching on the pavement. Victor lies on the ground, but Blaze knows he isn't dead. The guy always survives like a venomous snake. Nova. How's the data? Blaze pants, temporarily bandaging his wound with a cloth. I'm copying the hard drive from Igor. Military encryption. Needs 12 hours to crack. Nova replies, her voice tense through the earpiece. The van races through the narrow streets of Madrid, dodging the distant sound of police sirens. Rex makes a dramatic turn, avoiding a truck blocking the road, definitely Victor's men. He has a tracking device on Igor. Nova screams. Blaze grabs Igor by the collar, searching him. Finding a small chip in his collar, he crushes it and tosses it out the window. Igor trembles. I don't know the details. Boris Kuznetsov in Moscow hired me. He wants the weapons to sell to 2 American billionaires. Manipulating the market. Blaze growls. Which 2 billionaires? Igor shakes his head. I only know they want a pandemic to drive gold prices up. My wife and kids. Blaze doesn't fully believe him. But this information aligns with what Rex said. The team needs to dig deeper. The van stops at a discreet garage on the outskirts of Madrid. Nova connects the hard drive to her laptop, the screen flashing green code. There's a signal leading to Nice, France. Arms dealer Dimitri Voss is on a yacht in the Côte d'Azur. Blaze nods, wiping blood from his hands. The stab hurts, but he's used to it, his CIA past filled with nights like this. Get ready to fly. Victor will be on our tail. Rex pats his shoulder. You okay? Blaze smirks, not dead yet. As the van starts up again, Blaze looks out into the darkness, feeling the adrenaline still surging. Victor Slade hasn't given up, and the Russian Mafia is waiting ahead. But Blaze Ryder is not one to easily fall. He will crush them before they crush the world. While decoding data on the run in Nice, France, the team uncovers a plot involving arms dealer Dimitri Voss in the Côte d'Azur. Blaze Ryder uses blackmail to coerce movie star Zayn Eclipse into participating as bait. This leads to a dangerous raid on the yacht, where they gather more information about the hideout in Moscow. Russia. The private jet lands at Nice airport at dawn, the golden sun shining on the sparkling Côte d'Azur coastline. Blaze Ryder steps out, the stab in his thigh still aching, but he doesn't show it. Rex Harlan drives a black van waiting. taking the group to a small villa hidden among olive trees. Nova Quinn opens her laptop right in the van. The screen flashing data from Igor Petrov's hard drive. Done. She says, her voice excited. The data leads to Dmitry Voss. He's an arms dealer, hosting a party on a yacht offshore. He's in contact with Boris Kuznetsov in Moscow. Blaze nods, his eyes looking out at the deep blue sea. Dmitry Voss, a name that recalls the smuggling cases he once broke in the Middle East. Does he know the location of the biological weapons? Rex asks, gripping the steering wheel. Nova nods. It seems so. But his system is airtight. I hacked the guest list. Zane Eclipse, the Hollywood star, is on it. Dmitry is a huge fan of his. Blaze smirks. Use him as bait. Find Zane's secrets. Nova types quickly. Hacking into Zane's personal records. Found it. Zane is having an affair with his wife's sister. Candid photos. If leaked, his career is over. Blaze nods. Without hesitation, he hates blackmail. But millions of lives are at stake. They drive to Zane's luxurious villa in Nice, where he is relaxing by the pool, cocktail in hand. Blaze poses as a manager. Stepping up, Zane Eclipse. We need to talk. Zane frowns, waving to his bodyguards. Who are you? But Nova has hacked the gate lock, leaving the bodyguards powerless. Blaze throws the stack of photos on the table. Zane pales, his hands trembling. This. Misunderstanding. Blaze interrupts, his voice cold. Misunderstanding or not, it doesn't matter. Join Dmitry's party tonight. Act as bait. If not, these photos go online. Zane tries to argue, but Blaze's gaze is sharp as a knife, silencing him. All right. But I don't want to die, Blaze nods. Do well. You live. That night, Dmitry Voss's yacht was anchored off the Côte d'Azur, its brilliant yellow lights reflecting on the ocean waves. Zane walked in, his glossy black vest drawing every eye. Blaze, playing the role of an assistant, followed behind, an earpiece connecting him to Nova and Drake Voss, who were observing from a small boat a few hundred meters away. Nova whispered. Dmitry is in the VIP section, talking to a Russian lawyer. It's related to the Moscow Mafia. Zane shook Dmitry's hand, and the portly kingpin grinned widely. Zane, what an honor. He led Zane to the liquor table, showing off. Blaze moved silently through the crowd, his eyes scanning the room. He noticed a waiter with a strange look in his eyes, one of Victor Slade's men. Nova, check the cameras, Blaze whispered. Nova hacked the system. 3 men downstairs. Victor's people. They want the data from Dmitry. Blaze signaled Drake. Get ready. Suddenly, the waiter pulled a knife and lunged at Zane. Blaze reacted instantly, leaping over a table and hooking a punch to the man's jaw, sending him sprawling. The crowd screamed in chaos as champagne spilled everywhere. 2 other men drew their guns and opened fire. Blaze pulled Zane down to the floor, dodging a hail of bullets that slammed into the wooden walls, sending splinters flying. From outside, Drake sniped one of them through a window, the sound of shattering glass echoing. Blaze drew his Glock, rolled, and fired precisely into the second man's leg, making him scream. Zane panicked. Let's run. Blaze dragged him down a hallway, dodging a volley of shots from Dmitry's guards. Meanwhile, Nova hacked Dmitry's phone, downloading his contact list. Found it. Dmitry is in contact with a Boris in Moscow. The biological weapons are stored there, but Victor appeared at the end of the hall, gun aimed. You again? Blaze, he sneered. Blaze stood still, his hand gripping the Glock behind his back. Nova yelled. 5 men at the pier. Get out now, Victor fired. But Blaze dodged, returning fire with 2 shots. A bullet grazed Victor's shoulder. Drawing blood, the team rushed to the pier. Dodging a rain of bullets from Victor's men, Drake provided cover fire. Taking down 2 of them, Rex pulled their small boat alongside. Jump Blaze pushed Zane first, then leaped after him into the freezing seawater. The engine roared to life, and the boat sped off into the darkness, leaving the chaotic yacht behind. Blaze checked the data drive from Dimitri's phone. Nova. Keep decrypting. Moscow is the target, but he knew Victor was still in pursuit, and Dimitri would not forgive this. On the boat, Zane was panting heavily. I didn't sign up for this, Blaze glanced at him. You helped save the world today. Focus. The group made it to shore and hid in an abandoned warehouse. Nova reported. The data points to a stronghold in Moscow, but Victor knows what we have. Blaze clenched his fist, his wound seeping blood. The hunt was heating up, and he could feel the shadow of the Russian Mafia closing in. After the chaos on the yacht at the Côte d'Azur, Blaze Ryder's team was ambushed at an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Nice, France. They had to fight fiercely against the henchmen of Victor Slade, the relentless traitor hunting them. From the clash, the team gathered more information about the Mafia stronghold in Moscow, Russia, and planned a direct infiltration to install spyware. Raising the stakes to their peak, darkness enveloped the abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Nice, France, where the smell of dampness and old machine oil hung in the air. Blaze Ryder leaned against a wall, checking the bullet graze on his shoulder. The blood had dried into a black crust. Rex Harlan paced back and forth, checking the main door, while Nova Quinn typed relentlessly on her laptop, its blue screen illuminating her face. Drake Voss cleaned his gun, silent as a ghost, while Zane Eclipse cowered in a corner, his face pale. I can't take this anymore. We almost died on that damn boat. Blaze shot him a look, his voice low. Shut up. Zane. We got the data from Dimitri. Nova. What's the situation? Nova pushed up her glasses. The data from Dimitri's phone indicates Boris Kuznetsov in Moscow is the mastermind. The biological weapons are stored in a central Mafia building in the city, but their security system is too strong. AI cameras, thermal sensors. I can't hack it remotely. We have to go in directly and plant the spyware. Blaze nodded, his mind racing. Moscow, the heart of the Russian Mafia. A place where he'd lost a teammate on a past mission. Prepare to fly. Rex. Contact the private jet. But suddenly, a deafening explosion rocked the warehouse. The main door was blown off its hinges, and thick smoke poured in. 5 men in black stormed in, assault rifles at the ready, their faces covered by masks. Victor's men, Drake yelled, diving behind a crate and firing 2 shots, taking one down instantly. Bullets flew like rain, ricocheting off metal with flashes of sparks. Blaze rolled, dodging the initial volley, and returned fire with his Glock. A bullet hit one man in the chest. He fell face down, blood pooling on the concrete floor. Zane screamed in terror. Let's run. But Blaze grabbed him by the collar and pulled him to the floor. Stay put, Rex threw a smoke grenade, and a thick white fog enveloped the area. Blaze lunged out, his movements a blur, confronting the nearest man. The man swung a dagger in a wide arc, but Blaze dodged, grabbed his wrist, and twisted it backward with a sickening crack of bone. The man screamed, and Blaze hooked a punch to his jaw, knocking him out cold. A second man rushed from behind, a machine gun spitting fire. Blaze spun, using the first man's own dagger to throw it, hitting the other man in the shoulder. He dropped his gun. Groaning, Drake provided cover from a distance, sniping another man accurately through the smoke. Nova yelled through the earpiece. Blaze. Victor is out there. I'm hacking their vehicle. It's an armored truck. Rex pulled Zane toward the back door. But a man blocked their path, his knife gleaming. Rex delivered a powerful kick to the man's stomach, knocking him down, then punched him repeatedly in the face until he was unconscious. "Go, Rex!" shouted. Blaze felt the adrenaline surge through him, the pain from his wound forgotten. He charged through the smoke to face the last man, a hulking figure rippling with muscle. The man threw a straight punch, but Blaze dodged and countered with a spinning kick to his knee, breaking it with a crack. The man roared and lunged forward, trapping Blaze in a bear hug. Blaze gritted his teeth, slamming his elbow into the man's neck and driving his knee into his stomach. The man let go, and Blaze finished him with a hook punch, leaving him gasping on the ground. The team regrouped at the back door and jumped into Rex's van, but Victor emerged from the darkness, driving an armored truck, its headlights blinding. "There's no escape," Victor sneered through the windshield. Rex floored it, the van shooting forward. But the truck rammed its rear, sending the van swerving. Drake opened the back door and fired at the truck's tires. But the armor was impenetrable. "It's armored," Drake yelled. Nova typed furiously. "Turn right. There's a small bridge." Rex pulled off a spectacular turn, the van skidding across a narrow bridge over a moonlit river. The truck stayed close behind. Victor fired from his window, a bullet shattering the rear windshield. Blaze returned fire, hitting the side view mirror. "Nova, stop him!" Nova hacked the traffic lights, and a convoy of containers blocked the road. The truck lost control and slammed into the curb, smoke billowing from it. The van stopped in a vacant lot, the whole team panting for breath. Blaze checked the data from Nova. "We have the location of the Mafia building in Moscow. Boris Kuznetsov is meeting Dmitri there." Rex clapped him on the shoulder. "We need to infiltrate. Zane, you'll stay behind as bait if needed." Zane shook his head. "No way," but Blaze cut him off. "Focus. Victor is wounded, but he'll be in Moscow. We get there first." They boarded the plane and took off into the night. Blaze looked down at Nice receding below, feeling the weight on his shoulders grow heavier. The Russian Mafia was waiting, and Victor Slade was a ghost that wouldn't fade. But he wouldn't stop. Justice had to be served, no matter the cost. Infiltrating the Mafia building in Moscow, Russia. Blaze Ryder faced guards and a brutal hand-to-hand fight in the darkness. They secured the location of the biological weapons, but were pursued by a helicopter, forced into a spectacular escape across the rooftops. The team prepared for their next move in Madrid, Spain. The cold Moscow wind cut like a knife against his face, and light snow dusted the cobblestone streets. The plane landed at midnight. Blaze Ryder stepped out, his breath turning to white vapor in the frigid air. He adjusted his earpiece, his voice low. "Nova, what's the security status?" From a dingy hotel a few blocks away, Nova Quinn replied. "It's a fortress. Cameras, motion sensors, guards at every corner. But I found a blind spot at the back gate. You have 10 minutes before the guard shift changes." Blaze nodded, checking the Glock and the canister of knockout gas hidden in his thick leather jacket. The mission: infiltrate Boris Kuznetsov's Mafia building and plant spyware to give Nova access to the location of the biological weapons. Rex Harlan and Drake Voss were waiting in a nearby van, ready for support. Zane Eclipse reluctantly played the decoy, posing as a VIP guest at a nearby nightclub to draw the guards' attention. Blaze moved silently through a dark alley, his shadow blending into the Moscow night. The grey concrete building looked like a warehouse but was heavily guarded. He climbed over a barbed wire fence, avoiding cameras as Nova guided him. "Back door. To your left." "I'm disabling the lock," she whispered. With a soft click, Blaze pushed the door open and slipped inside. The hallway was pitch black, save for the blinking red light of an alarm system. He sprayed the knockout gas into a ventilation duct and heard guards collapsing on the floor above. He moved with feline stealth down to the basement server room. The steel door was thick, but Nova hacked it open. Inside, screens glowed with encrypted data. Blaze plugged in a USB drive, and Nova began the remote download. Done in 3 minutes, Nova said, but a noise echoed from the hallway. Blaze spun around as 3 guards appeared. Assault rifles raised. "Freeze!" one of them shouted in a thick Russian accent. Blaze gave a faint smile and threw the gas canister to the floor. White smoke billowed out, and 2 of the men dropped instantly. But the third charged with a dagger. Blaze dodged the stab, grabbed the man's wrist, and twisted and broke it. The man screamed, and Blaze punched him squarely in the face, knocking him unconscious. "Nova, hurry," Blaze whispered, his eyes scanning the area. The alarm blared. Someone had been discovered. Drake yelled through the earpiece. "Guards are coming, get out now," but Blaze didn't move. He snatched a wallet from a desk, pocketing it like a trophy while protecting the USB. "Is it done? 30 seconds left," Nova replied, her voice tense. The sound of heavy footsteps pounded down the stairs. Blaze drew his Glock, hiding behind the door. "Ready." 4 men burst in, but Blaze was prepared. He fired 2 shots, taking down 2 of them, then rolled and knocked a third unconscious, using his knife to subdue the last one. "Go to sleep," he said, stabbing him in the shoulder, and the man collapsed. "Done," Nova yelled. Blaze pulled out the USB and dashed into the hallway. The main gate was locked, and guards were advancing from outside. He ran to the roof, where the Moscow wind whipped fiercely. A helicopter circled overhead, its searchlight sweeping across the area. "Victor's people," Rex shouted. Blaze leaped over a chimney, looking for an escape. A guard rushed him on the roof, pistol aimed. Blaze dodged the shot and closed in for hand-to-hand combat. The man threw a punch, but Blaze blocked it and countered with a knee to the head, sending him staggering. He got him in a chokehold from behind, squeezing until he passed out. The helicopter fired, bullets shattering the roof tiles. Blaze saw a cable connecting to the next building and, without hesitation, slid down using his leather gloves, landing hard on the opposite roof. His legs ached, but he kept running. Drake drove the van down the street below and opened the door. Blaze jumped down, and the van sped off just as the helicopter opened fire. "What's the status on the data?" Blaze panted. Nova replied, "I have the weapons location. It's in a villa in Madrid, controlled by Dmitry Voss. But Boris is heading there soon. We have to be quick." Rex swerved to avoid a patrol car, its siren wailing in the distance. Zane called in. The distraction worked, but I almost got caught. Blaze smirked. "Good. Now, to Madrid." As the van sped into the Moscow night, Blaze looked up at the retreating helicopter. Victor Slade was still lurking, and the Russian Mafia would be hunting them. But the data in his hand was a major step forward. He clenched his fist, ready for the next battle in Madrid. His wound was bleeding, but the fire inside him burned brighter than ever. Returning to Madrid, Spain, to tail Dmitry Voss's assistant, Blaze Ryder's team uncovers a major contract with 2 American billionaires, Silas Crow and Lex Harlan, who plan to manipulate the global economy through a pandemic. An infiltration of a villa leads to a fierce firefight. Blaze must face Victor Slade in a direct confrontation, pushing tensions to a climax before retreating with critical data. The glaring Madrid sun shone through the van's windshield, making Blaze Ryder squint as he tightened his grip on the steering wheel. They had just flown in from Moscow, and the air still smelled of gunpowder from the infiltration. Nova Quinn sat in the back, laptop on her lap. Her voice urgent. The data from the Mafia building shows Dmitry Voss's assistant, a guy named Sergei Kuzin, is at a villa on the outskirts. He's holding a contract with two American billionaires, Silas Crow and Lex Harlan. They want to use the biological weapon to create a pandemic, crash the market, and send gold prices soaring. Blaze nodded, his mind racing. Silas and Lex, ambitious men hiding behind a corporate facade. Rex Harlan checked the map. The villa is heavily guarded. We go in tonight. Zane. You're the bait again. Zane Eclipse shook his head frantically. I'm not a spy, I almost died in Moscow. Blaze glanced in the rearview mirror, his voice cold. If you want to live, Zane, you'll do it. Dmitry has a thing for you. Use that to draw him out. Drake Voss, silently cleaning his gun, nodded. I'll provide cover from a distance. Night fell, and Dmitry Voss's villa was brightly lit. Nestled among the lush green olive trees, Zane entered through the gate, dressed in a sharp white suit. Pretending to visit a fan, Dmitry was delighted, leading him into the hall where VIP guests raised their champagne glasses. Blaze, dressed as a server, blended into the crowd. His earpiece connected to Nova, second-floor meeting room, third door on the right. He slipped through the hallway, avoiding curious glances, and opened the door. The desktop displayed a $10 billion contract, a biological weapons deal. Blaze plugged in the USB, and Nova began to copy. But a shadow appeared at the door, a massive bodyguard, gun drawn. Who are you? He growled. Blaze lunged forward, punching the man's throat, causing him to drop to his knees. Two others rushed in, guns blazing. Blaze rolled away, dodging bullets, pulled a dagger from his shoe, and hit one in the shoulder. The other charged at him, and Blaze spun around, locking his neck and squeezing until he passed out. Blood seeped from an old wound, but he gritted his teeth and endured. Nova. How's the data? Blaze whispered, sweat rolling down his forehead. Almost done. 20 seconds, she replied. The alarm blared. The thermal sensor had detected them. Heavy footsteps echoed from the stairs. Blaze yanked out the USB, stuffed it in his pocket, and dashed out onto the balcony. He slid down the cable, landing in the garden, but the spotlight swept over him from the guards. In the hall, Zane knocked over a tray of drinks. Buying time, Rex drove to the back gate, ready to pick them up. Blaze ran through the garden, dodging a hail of bullets. Drake, from a nearby rooftop, sniped two of the pursuers. Run through the east gate, Drake shouted through the earpiece. Blaze jumped the fence and dove into Rex's van. The vehicle sped off, leaving the chaotic villa behind. Nova checked the data. The contract confirms Boris Kuznetsov will receive the weapons in Moscow tomorrow. But Silas Crow and Lex Harlan are behind it, wanting the pandemic to get richer. Blaze clenched his fists. We need to stop them first. Suddenly, a black SUV blocked the van's path. Victor Slade stepped out, gun aimed straight at them. A sinister smile on his face. Blaze, you will never escape. Blaze stood still, his hand gripping the Glock behind his back. Zane trembled. We're dead for sure, Blaze whispered. Get ready to run. Victor fired, but Blaze hit the gas, the van barreling forward, forcing Victor to jump aside. Drake opened the back door, firing 2 shots that grazed Victor's shoulder. The van sped through the narrow streets of Madrid, Victor chasing them in the SUV. Rex made a spectacular turn, avoiding a truck blocking the road. Victor fired repeatedly, shattering the back window. Blaze retaliated, shooting out the SUV's tires. But the armor plating was impenetrable. Nova shouted, turn left. There's a night market. The van skidded past stalls, fruit flying everywhere. Victor stayed close, ramming into the back of the vehicle, causing it to sway. Drake sniped, hitting the SUV's window. But Victor dodged. Laughing loudly, "You've lost," Blaze felt the adrenaline surge. Memories of Istanbul flooding back. Victor had betrayed him, leading to his teammates' deaths. He swerved suddenly, the van turning around and charging straight at the SUV. The impact was fierce. Metal crumpling. Blaze jumped out. Rushing at Victor through the shattered glass, he pulled out a knife, slashing horizontally. But Blaze dodged and countered with an uppercut to his jaw. Victor staggered but stabbed Blaze in the shoulder, blood pouring out. Blaze roared, gripping Victor's wrist, twisting it until the knife fell. The two struggled on the ground, exchanging punches and kicks. Victor choked Blaze, but he drove his knee into Victor's stomach, pushing him away. Drake appeared, gun aimed. "Stop," Victor smirked, leaping onto the damaged SUV, escaping into the darkness. Blaze panted, blood soaking his shirt. He got away. "But we have our data." The group jumped into the car and sped off. Blaze looked at Rex. "Prepare for Brooklyn, New York. Sergei Kuzin will meet Silas there." Zane sighed in relief. "I want to go back to Hollywood." Blaze smirked. "It's not over yet." Victor's shadow still haunted him, but the contract in his hand was a powerful weapon. The battle was building to a climax. In the pursuit in Brooklyn, New York, Blaze Ryder obtained a newspaper containing the transaction code from Sergei Kuzin, Dmitry Voss's assistant. The knife and gunfight on the rooftop of an abandoned building left Victor Slade severely injured, but he still escaped, forcing the team to prepare for a final showdown in Moscow. Russia. The van raced across the Brooklyn Bridge. New York. The Hudson River wind slapping against the windshield like a challenge. Blaze Ryder gripped the steering wheel tightly, his eyes scanning the neon-lit streets at night. They had just landed from Madrid, following Sergei Kuzin, Dmitry Voss's assistant, the keeper of the transaction code for biological weapons. With Silas Crow and Lex Harlan, Nova Quinn sat in the back, hacking Sergei's phone. He's at a bar 3 blocks away, carrying the newspaper. It definitely contains the code. We'll meet Silas there. Blaze nodded, adrenaline pumping. Victor Slade was still lurking, and Brooklyn's dark alleys were the perfect place for a trap. Rex Harlan checked his gun. "Blaze, Victor knows we're here. He's always one step ahead." Drake Voss, from the back seat, nodded. "I'll provide cover from afar." Zane Eclipse shivered. "I just want to go home." Blaze glanced in the mirror. "Stay put." Zane, "Be bait if necessary." They parked in a hidden alley, and Blaze stepped out. Blending into the bustling crowd of Brooklyn, the small bar had flickering red lights, the smell of beer and smoke mingling. Blaze wore a baseball cap, sitting in a corner, his eyes fixed on Sergei, the short Russian, clutching a neatly folded newspaper. Nova whispered through the earpiece. He received a message from Dmitry. "The deal in Moscow is tomorrow morning at the Zarya factory." Blaze was about to approach when Victor appeared at the door, dressed in black, a sinister smile on his face. He walked over to Sergei's table, whispered, and received the newspaper. Blaze muttered, "Victor is butting in." Without waiting, he stood up and slipped through the crowd. Victor noticed, pulling out his gun. "Don't move." Blaze. The crowd panicked, scattering. Blaze rolled away, dodging a barrage of bullets, and dashed out the back door. Sergei took advantage of the chaos, running into the alley. Blaze chased after him, with Victor hot on their heels. The alley was narrow, filled with trash cans and rusty pipes. Sergei clumsily climbed over a fence, dropping the newspaper. Blaze jumped over, grabbed the newspaper, but Victor closed in, a dagger glinting. Hand it over. Or die, Victor growled. Blaze dodged the slash, kicking Victor in the knee, causing him to stagger. He lunged at Sergei, grabbing him by the neck, and punched his face. Sergei fell, groaning. Victor fired repeatedly, and Blaze pulled Sergei in front of him as a shield. Dodging bullets and pushing him into a trash can, he ran into a nearby abandoned building, with Victor in pursuit. The old, dark staircase loomed ahead, and Sergei stumbled into the elevator. Pressing the button, the doors closed, leaving Blaze outside. Blaze wasted no time, running up the stairs, his feet pounding on the decaying steps. Nova shouted, "Sergei has a tracking device. Victor knows our location." Reaching the rooftop, the elevator doors opened. Sergei burst out, panicked, trying to throw his phone to a nearby stranger. Victor appeared, gun drawn. "It's over." "Blaze," he laughed. Blaze jumped behind a concrete pillar, dodging the deafening gunfire. Drake, from the opposite building, and sniped, hitting Victor in the shoulder, causing him to drop his gun. Blood spilling. Blaze charged forward, landing a series of punches on Victor's face. But Victor retaliated with a kick to Blaze's stomach, knocking him down. Sergei escaped. Jumping onto a motorcycle, Blaze chased after him. But Sergei drove poorly, crashing while turning sharply. Blaze ran on foot, with Drake providing cover, blocking the way. Sergei darted into a construction site, and Blaze grabbed him by the collar, forcing him down into the dusty ground. Opening the newspaper, Blaze saw the handwritten line Moscow. 9 o'clock in the morning. Zarya factory. He stuffed it into his bag and turned to Drake. "Call Rex. Prepare the plane. We're heading to Moscow right away." But Victor, despite his injuries, charged out from the shadows, swinging a knife. Blaze dodged, spun around, and locked Victor's arm. Twisting it backward, Victor roared, stabbing into Blaze's arm, hot blood flowing. Blaze choked Victor from behind, tightening his grip as he struggled. The two wrestled on the rooftop, the New York wind howling fiercely. Victor threw a hook. Blaze dodged, countering with an elbow strike to his throat. Victor coughed but pulled out a backup handgun and fired. The bullet grazed Blaze's cheek. Stinging painfully, he lunged in, disarming Victor and landing a flurry of punches to his face until blood splattered. Victor fell, gasping, "You won't win." Blaze aimed his gun. "It's over." But Victor smirked, rolling over and jumping off the lower rooftop, escaping into the night. Blaze gasped for breath, his wound bleeding. Rex drove up below, and the group gathered. Nova checked the newspaper. The code matches the data. The deal is at the Zarya factory in Moscow. Zane trembled. "Did he get away?" Blaze nodded. "Victor is hard to kill, but we have the advantage." They jumped into the car and sped towards the airport. Blaze watched Brooklyn fade away, feeling Victor's shadow still looming. The final battle in Moscow awaited, and he would end everything. Blaze Ryder's team convinced arms dealer Dmitry Voss to cooperate against the Russian Mafia and Victor Slade. They planned to stop the biological weapons deal at the Zarya factory in Moscow. Russia, with sniper shots and gunfire from helicopters. The team pushed the climax to its peak, but faced potential betrayal from Dmitry. The plane shook as it landed at the private airport on the outskirts of Moscow. Russia. Thick snow covering the runway like a cold white blanket. Blaze Ryder was the first to step out, his breath turning to smoke, his eyes scanning the threatening darkness. The newspaper from Sergei Kuzin still lay in his pocket, with the transaction code clear Zarya factory. 9 o'clock in the morning. Rex Harlan patted his shoulder. "We have the advantage." But Viktor and Boris Kuznetsov will be waiting. Dmitry Voss is the key. He knows the details of the deal. Blaze nodded, thinking about how to persuade a weapons dealer to betray the Russian mafia. They hid in a warehouse near the Zarya factory, an abandoned industrial area with towering smokestacks. Nova Quinn hacked the factory's cameras. Boris is inside, waiting for Silas Crow and Lex Harlan. The biological weapons deal is happening in an hour. Blaze turned to Dmitry Voss, the man they had captured in Madrid and now handcuffed in the corner. Dmitry, you have a choice. Cooperate, or I will expose your $10 billion contract. Nova has evidence of your offshore accounts. Dmitry, pale-faced, scoffed. You think I'm afraid Boris will kill me if I betray him? Blaze aimed his gun at his head. Silas and Lex hired Victor to steal the briefcase first. Not paying you. They used the pandemic to manipulate the economy, driving gold prices up. You're just a pawn. Dmitry hesitated, greed flashing in his eyes. Nova sent an anonymous message to his phone, along with a picture of the account. Dmitry's face paled. Okay, I'll help. But Victor is hunting you, and Boris has men everywhere. Blaze nodded. The plan you lead Zane in, pretending to make the deal. Drake and I will break in from the back. Zane Eclipse shook his head. Me again, I'm not a hero. Blaze shot him a glance. Do well. Zane, buy time with Boris. Drake Voss checked his sniper rifle. I'll cover from the high point. Rex prepared the vehicle, ready. A bold plan convinced Dmitry to be an insider, stopping the deal before the biological briefcase fell into the billionaire's hands. Early morning. The Zarya factory was shrouded in Moscow fog. Dmitry and Zane entered the gate. Zane in a fancy suit, pretending to be an investor. Boris Kuznetsov, tall with a cunning gaze, laughed heartily. Dmitry, you brought the gift right on time. Zane spun tales of Hollywood, stalling, while Dmitry whispered the fake code. Nova hacked the system, cameras disabled. Blaze, go Blaze, and Drake sneaked through the back gate. Avoiding guards in the darkness, they moved quickly, their footsteps light on the cold concrete floor. Inside the warehouse, Boris was discussing with Silas and Lex. The biological briefcase is worth $10 billion. The pandemic will crash the market, and will split. Blaze hid behind a crate, setting up a listening device. But suddenly, an explosion rang out. A helicopter appeared in the sky, firing down on the factory. Victor Slade, Drake shouted through the earpiece. Sniping from the rooftop, taking down a soldier on the helicopter. Blaze pulled Dmitry and Zane into the warehouse, dodging the deafening rain of bullets. Nova hacked the power, plunging the factory into darkness. In the shadows, Blaze confronted a Mafia soldier. One lunged at him with a knife, and he dodged, delivering a spinning kick to the stomach, sending the man down. The second pulled a gun and fired, but Blaze rolled away, knocking him out with a punch to the jaw. Drake provided cover, taking down two more from a distance. Dmitry, where's the briefcase? Blaze growled. Dmitry pointed to a metal crate. In there, but Boris has the code. Blaze dashed out, dodging bullets from the helicopter, determined to get the code. He ran down the hallway, confronting Boris. Stop, Boris growled, pulling out his gun. Blaze dodged a volley of bullets. Lunging into close combat, Boris threw a punch. Blaze blocked, countering with an elbow strike to his throat. Boris coughed but tightened his grip around Blaze's neck, pushing him against the wall. Blaze gritted his teeth, driving his knee into Boris's stomach, then landing a flurry of punches to his face until blood splattered. The code, Blaze snarled. Boris groaned. 15 digits. In my phone. Nova hacked to retrieve the code remotely, but Victor jumped down from the helicopter onto the roof. Gun drawn. That's my briefcase, he fired. And Blaze ducked behind a pillar, firing back. Drake sniped, grazing Victor's shoulder, causing him to roar. Blaze charged forward, tackling Victor to the floor, the two rolling around. Victor swung his knife. Blaze dodged, twisting his arm and breaking it. Victor thrashed, punching Blaze's old wound. Blood pouring out. Blaze roared, landing an uppercut on Victor's jaw, and he fell. Rex drove into the factory yard. "Open the door, get in." The group gathered. Dimitri followed, but Silas and Lex hid in the armored vehicle. Nova locked their accounts. $10 billion vanished. Blaze held the briefcase, temporarily disabling it. Victor's helicopter returned, opened fire, but Drake shot the engine. Smoke billowing. Victor jumped out, disappearing into the mist. The vehicle sped out of the factory. Blaze looked at Dimitri. "You chose the right side. But if you betray me, I will deal with you myself." Dimitri nodded. Sweat pouring. "We're not done yet. Silas and Lex will take revenge." Blaze clenched his fists. "They are the next targets." The group hid, but Blaze sensed Victor was still lurking. The final battle was approaching, and he would not forgive. At the Zarya factory in Moscow, Russia, Blaze Ryder confronted the Russian Mafia and two billionaires Silas Crow and Lex Harlan in the dark warehouse, where the biological weapon briefcase began its countdown to activation. An intense close-quarters battle ensued with daggers, handguns, and brutal hand-to-hand combat. The team ultimately disabled the weapons, but Victor Slade still lurked, leaving a looming threat for the final showdown. In the dark warehouse of the Zarya factory, the countdown from the biological briefcase echoed like a deathly whisper. 12 seconds. 11 seconds. Blaze Ryder stood still, his eyes locked on Victor Slade, who had just jumped down from the damaged helicopter. Handgun at the ready. Victor's sinister smile flashed under the flickering red lights from the briefcase. "The briefcase is mine." "Blaze, you've lost." His voice was raspy, filled with hatred from past betrayals. Blaze felt adrenaline surge, the wound on his shoulder bleeding. But he remained undeterred. The cold warehouse, the smell of metal and machine oil mingled, like a deadly arena in Moscow. Boris Kuznetsov stood next to the briefcase, tall with a cunning gaze, holding a rifle. Beside him were Silas Crow and Lex Harlan, two greedy American billionaires, pale-faced but still commanding. "The code." "Boris, we're paying $10 billion. Hand over the briefcase." Blaze hid behind a crate, listening intently. He signaled to Drake Voss through the earpiece, sniper from the roof. "I'll handle close combat." Nova Quinn from the van outside Blaze. "Countdown activated. If not disabled, I have the code from Boris's phone. 15 digits." Without waiting any longer, Blaze burst from the shadows, firing 2 shots from his Glock, taking down a Mafia soldier near the briefcase. Boris roared, firing back with a deafening barrage. Bullets striking the metal crate, sparks flying. Blaze rolled to evade, charging at Boris like a ghost. Silas and Lex panicked and scattered, leaving Boris to face him. "Who are you?" Boris shouted, swinging his gun sideways. Blaze dodged, delivering a spinning kick to Boris's knee. Bones cracking, Boris faltered, but retaliated with a punch to Blaze's stomach, sending him crashing into the cold concrete wall. Pain radiated, but Blaze sprang up, choking Boris from behind, tightening his grip. Boris struggled, elbowing backward, hitting Blaze's wounded shoulder. Blood pouring. He gritted his teeth, using his knee to thrust into Boris's back, forcing him down. The code. Blaze growled, repeatedly punching his face. Boris groaned, "In." The briefcase, but Victor charged from behind, dagger glinting under the red light. "Leave him to me." Victor slashed horizontally. Blaze narrowly dodged, the knife tearing his coat. The two wrestled fiercely, Victor stabbing repeatedly, Blaze dodging and blocking, his fists clenched. Victor sneered. "You're still as slow as ever." He kicked Blaze's thigh, knocking him off balance. Blaze countered with an uppercut to Victor's jaw, blood spraying from his mouth. They rolled on the dusty floor, the knife clattering. Blaze grabbed Victor's wrist, twisting it, and he howled in pain, but Victor used his leg to choke Blaze, tightening like a vice, the air choking him from the earpiece. "Rex Harlan," yelled Blaze. "The briefcase has 8 seconds left." Nova sent the code. Blaze broke free, using his elbow to thrust hard into Victor's chest, sending him flying. He rushed towards the briefcase, the screen counting down. 6 seconds. Boris struggled to get up, pulling a knife and lunging at Blaze. He dodged, delivering a straight kick to Boris's stomach, sending him sprawling, groaning. Drake shot from the roof, taking down 2 Mafia soldiers rushing into the warehouse. Gunfire echoing. 4 seconds. The briefcase flashed bright red. Victor sprang up, lunging to grab the briefcase. "It's mine." Blaze turned, landing a hook to his face, pushing him back. He opened the briefcase, his hands trembling from blood loss, entering the code from Nova, 15 digits flying quickly on the virtual keyboard. 2 seconds. The screen froze. The red light dimmed. The briefcase was disabled. The biological liquid inside ceased bubbling. Blaze exhaled, sweat streaming down his forehead. But Victor did not give up. He picked up the knife, lunging at Blaze one last time, slashing downward. Blaze dodged, grabbing his wrist, twisting it, stabbing the knife into Victor's shoulder. He roared, blood pouring, collapsing. "It's over, Victor," Blaze whispered, gun aimed straight at his head. Victor weakly smiled. "Not yet." "Silas and Lex." He rolled, jumping through the broken window, falling onto the roof below, disappearing into the Moscow fog. Blaze chased after him, but the sound of a helicopter echoed. Mafia reinforcements were coming. Rex drove the van into the factory yard. "Get in quickly," Dmitri Voss, from a hidden corner, ran out with the group. Pale-faced, "I helped. Now let me go." Blaze grabbed his collar. "You stay until it's over." Zane shouted from the vehicle. "We made it." Drake jumped down from the roof, providing cover fire to take down more soldiers. The group jumped into the vehicle, speeding out of the gate, dodging the rain of bullets from the helicopter. Nova hacked the road system, blocking containers as barriers. The van escaping, the vehicle sped into the Moscow night. Blaze checked the briefcase, temporarily disabled. Silas and Lex escaped, but Nova locked their accounts. Rex patted his shoulder. "We saved the world today." But Blaze looked into the darkness, sensing Victor was still alive. The wound not enough to kill him. The 2 greedy billionaires were now targets, and the Russian Mafia would seek revenge. He clenched his fists, ready for the final showdown. The flame of justice within him had not extinguished, even though his body was weary. In the final showdown at the Zarya factory in Moscow, Russia, Blaze Ryder took down Victor Slade and the Russian Mafia, saving the world from a biological pandemic. But the 2 billionaires, Silas Crow and Lex Harlan, escaped, leaving a new threat, an open ending with Blaze returning to a normal life in New York, but hinting that he would have to face a larger conspiracy from economic manipulators. The van sped through the snow-covered streets of Moscow, the engine roaring, drowning out the distant sound of police sirens. Blaze Ryder gripped the temporarily disabled biological briefcase on the seat, blood still seeping from his wound. but his gaze was sharp as a knife. Victor Slade had escaped, and Silas Crow and Lex Harlan vanished with the armored vehicle. Nova Quinn shouted through the earpiece, "Blaze. Victor is contacting the remaining Mafia soldiers. They are gathering at the eastern warehouse of the factory. Silas and Lex are there too." "Trying to activate the backup briefcase," Blaze nodded, his voice low. "Turn back. It ends today." Rex Harlan made a spectacular turn, the vehicle speeding back to the Zarya factory. Thick fog covering like a death shroud. Drake Voss checked his sniper rifle. "I'll cover from the high point." Dimitri Voss, still handcuffed, trembled. "Don't drag me into this. Boris will kill everyone." Blaze grabbed his collar. "You lead, or die right here." Zane Eclipse shivered. "We almost died. Let me go," but Blaze cut him off. "Stay put. This is the end." The vehicle stopped at the edge of the factory. The group sneaked in through a broken gate, snow falling softly on their shoulders. The eastern warehouse was dark, only the red light from the backup briefcase flashing. Victor Slade stood there, bandaged shoulder, a sinister smile. "Blaze, you're persistent, but this briefcase will activate the pandemic. Silas and Lex will pay me double." Beside him was Boris Kuznetsov, tall with a rifle, and the two billionaires hiding behind guards. "Let's begin," Silas ordered, his hand trembling as he entered the code. Blaze burst from the shadows, firing 3 shots from his Glock, instantly taking down 2 guards. Bullets whizzed by, striking the metal wall. Sparks flying. Boris roared, firing back with a deafening barrage. Blaze rolled to evade, charging at Victor like a whirlwind. "It's over," he shouted, delivering a hook to Victor's jaw, who staggered but retaliated with a kick to the stomach, pushing Blaze into the crate. Pain radiated, but he sprang up, choking Victor, tightening like a vice. Victor struggled, pulling out a dagger to stab sideways. Blaze dodged just in time, the knife tearing his sleeve. The two wrestled fiercely on the cold floor, snow from the exposed roof falling like dust. Victor slashed down. Blaze blocked with his arm, blood pouring from the fresh cut. He roared, using his elbow to thrust hard into Victor's chest, sending him crashing into the wall. Victor coughed up blood, but sneered. "You can't save the world." He lunged again, the knife glinting. From the rooftop, Drake sniped, taking down a Mafia soldier aiming at Blaze. Rex threw a smoke grenade into the warehouse, a thick white mist enveloping. Blaze took advantage, lunging at Boris, dodging a barrage of bullets, delivering a spinning kick to his knee. Boris fell, gun dropping, but he pulled out a knife and lunged. Blaze dodged, spinning to lock Boris's arm, breaking the bone with a crack. Boris screamed in pain. Blaze punched his face repeatedly until he was unconscious, blood staining the snowy floor. Silas and Lex panicked, trying to reach the backup briefcase. The countdown screen. 10 seconds. Lex entered the code shakily. "But Nova hacked remotely. I've locked it, Blaze." "Get the briefcase." Blaze rushed in, punching Silas down. He fell face first. Groaning, Lex pulled out a handgun, shooting hurriedly, the bullet grazing Blaze's shoulder. He lunged in, disarming him, choking Lex. "Stop!" Lex struggled. "We'll be richer than ever." Blaze delivered a hook, knocking him out. But Victor lunged out of the smoke, stabbing straight into Blaze's back. He turned just in time, grabbing Victor's wrist, twisting it and stabbing into his thigh. Victor roared, blood pouring, collapsing. Blaze choked him from behind. "It's over." "Victor," he struggled, "you will regret this." Blaze tightened his grip until Victor was motionless, his body limp, The remaining Mafia soldiers charged in, but Drake sniped them all down. Gunfire echoing. Blaze rushed to the briefcase. Entering the code from Nova done, the screen froze. The red light dimmed. The pandemic was halted. Rex rushed into the warehouse. Retreat. The group pulled Dimitri and Zane to the vehicle, speeding into the Moscow night. Nova reported Silas and Lex's accounts are permanently locked. The Russian Mafia is dismantled. But Blaze looked into the darkness. Victor is dead. But Silas and Lex, they will return. The plane took them back to New York. Blaze sat alone in an old cafe, a thick black espresso in front of him. 3 years of retirement now felt like a distant dream. Rex patted his shoulder. You saved the world. Blaze. He smirked. Not yet. People like Silas always have a plan B. The phone buzzed. An anonymous message. We're not done. Blaze clenched his fists, the old flame reigniting. The world still needed him, even though he didn't want to.